There are seasons in life when the best thing you can do is say nothing at all. When people misunderstand you, when things don't make sense, when life feels unfair, that's not the time to defend yourself. That's the time to focus on God. Because when you focus on Him, you stop fighting battles that aren't yours to fight. You stop reacting to noise and start responding to peace. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. God sees your heart. He knows your intentions. You don't have to prove who you are to anyone. Let your character, not your words, defend you. Stay humble. Let God lift you up in His time, because pride wants the last word. But humility lets God have the final say. When you humble yourself, you're saying, God, I trust you more than I trust me. You're saying, I don't have to control the outcome, because I know you're already working behind the scenes. That's faith in action, not in your strength, but in His. And when you stay silent, you give God space to move. You allow His peace to quiet the storm. You allow His power to speak for you. You allow His timing to unfold perfectly. Remember? The greatest strength sometimes looks like stillness. The loudest victory sometimes sounds like silence. So don't let the noise of the world distract you. Don't let your emotions lead you into battles that don't belong to you. Keep your heart humble, your focus firm, and your spirit still. Because in your silence, God is speaking. In your humility, He is working. And when you focus on Him, you'll realize you never had to fight alone. There are moments in life when the noise around you becomes overwhelming, voices of doubt, opinions of others, the chaos of your circumstances. It's in those moments that you have to make a choice. Either you let the noise consume you, or you lift your eyes and focus on God. When you focus on Him, you're not denying what's happening around you. You're simply choosing to give your attention to the one who's greater than it all. You're saying, God, I see the storm, but I choose to trust your peace. I hear the noise, but I choose to listen to your voice. Because the truth is, what you focus on will shape how you feel. The enemy's strategy is simple: distraction. If he can't destroy you, he'll try to divert your attention. He'll bring unnecessary battles, unwanted drama, and uninvited opinions just to make you lose sight of what truly matters. But you have to guard your focus like it's your faith. Because where your focus goes, your energy flows. If you spend your days replaying every negative comment, worrying about every setback, and trying to control every outcome, you'll lose the strength you need to keep moving forward. But when you fix your eyes on God, peace begins to rise where worry once lived, and faith begins to grow where fear tried to settle. Focusing on God doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means seeing reality through His promise. When you remember that He is still in control, that He still has a plan, that nothing catches Him by surprise, your perspective changes. You start to walk with a quiet confidence, even when everything seems uncertain. You begin to speak differently, pray differently, and think differently. Because your focus shifts from the problem to the provider, from fear to faith, from chaos to calm. That's the power of focus. It transforms how you experience every situation. So today, no matter what distractions surround you, make a decision to center your thoughts on Him. Tune your heart to His frequency. The world may be loud, but His voice is steady. The noise may be constant, but His peace is unshakable. When you focus on God, you're not just escaping the noise. You're rising above it. You're stepping into a higher level of peace, of faith, and of strength. Because the moment you fix your eyes on Him, everything else begins to lose its power. Humility is not about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less and putting God first. It's saying, God, I know that without you, I'm nothing. But with you, I have everything I need. When you humble yourself, you're acknowledging that every good thing in your life, every blessing, every victory, every open door comes from His hand, not your own. Humility keeps your heart grounded while God elevates your life. It reminds you that the same God who blessed you yesterday is the one who sustains you today. And when you walk in humility, you invite His power to flow freely through you. You see, pride blocks God's hand, but humility opens it wide. Pride says, I can handle this on my own, while humility says, God, I need your help. And when you reach that place of total dependence, that's where God begins to move in ways you never imagined. He lifts the humble, He strengthens the lowly, and He honors those who keep their hearts pure. Sometimes, the very reason a breakthrough hasn't come is because pride is still standing in the way. But the moment you surrender your need to control, your need to be right, your need to have it all figured out, that's the moment God steps in and says, now I can work. Humility isn't weakness. It's strength under control. It's the ability to stay calm when you could fight back, to stay silent when you could speak up, to forgive when you could hold a grudge. It's choosing character over ego and peace over pride. And when you live like that, people may misunderstand you. They may take your quietness for weakness. But God sees. He knows your heart. He knows the strength it takes to stay humble when your flesh wants to prove a point. And it's that quiet strength that attracts His favor, His wisdom, and His anointing. When you humble yourself before God, you align with His way of doing things. You stop striving and start receiving. You stop pushing and start flowing. Because humility creates room for God's greatness to shine through your life. The moment you say, God, I don't have to do this alone, He begins to fill the empty spaces with His presence. That's when His strength becomes your strength. His wisdom becomes your guide, and His power begins to work through you. Not because of who you are, but because of how surrendered you've become. There are moments in life when the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Silence is not weakness. It's wisdom in motion. It's strength under control. When people misunderstand you, when you're falsely accused, or when you feel the urge to defend yourself, silence becomes your shield. Because silence is not the absence of action, it's the presence of trust. It says, God, I don't need to fight this battle with my words. I'll let you fight it with your power. Sometimes the loudest response is the one you never give. The moment you stop reacting, you start rising. In a noisy world where everyone wants the last word, silence stands out. It carries a quiet dignity that words can't match. When you choose silence instead of arguing, you take back your peace. You're no longer pulled into the chaos of proving a point or defending your worth. You're resting in the truth that God already knows who you are. And that's the key. Silence is not about ignoring people. It's about protecting your spirit. You can't hear divine direction when your heart is full of noise. But when you stay still, you create space for clarity. You start hearing God's voice above the voices of confusion. Sometimes God will tell you, be still and let me work. He knows when speaking will only stir the storm and when silence will calm it. Think about it. Even Jesus stayed silent before His accusers. He didn't need to prove His identity. He knew who He was. That's the posture of spiritual maturity. When you no longer need to respond to everything that challenges you. You realize that silence isn't giving up the fight. It's giving the fight to God. And when you hand it over to Him, He handles it better than you ever could. He brings justice where you were tempted to bring judgment. He brings peace where you were ready to bring anger. Silence also strengthens your inner world. It gives you control over your emotions and teaches you to respond from wisdom instead of reaction. Every time you choose silence over speaking out of frustration, you grow in grace. You start realizing that not every battle deserves your voice. Some situations are best won by keeping your mouth shut and your faith open. Because when you stay silent in faith, you're not doing nothing. You're letting heaven move. And when heaven moves, no amount of noise can stand against you. Silence is not defeat, it's divine strategy. When people misunderstand you, when they talk about you, or when they judge you unfairly, that's not your cue to fight back. That's your moment to step aside and let God handle it. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone who doubts you. You don't have to chase every rumor or correct every false story. The truth will always outlast the lie. When you try to defend yourself, you waste your peace trying to win the approval of people who are already committed to misunderstanding you. But when you stay calm and let God fight for you, He'll do more in a moment of favor than you could do in a lifetime of proving. There are some battles that don't need your energy. They need your silence and your faith. People may try to discredit you, but they can't destroy what God has established. They might talk for a season, but they won't have the final say. Because when God's hand is on your life, no amount of gossip, jealousy, or criticism can meant to harm you will actually strengthen you. Every unfair comment, every false judgment, every closed door, God uses it to refine your spirit and reveal His power. The battle isn't between you and them. It's between them and the one who called you. And trust me, God never loses a battle. So when critics rise up, don't lower yourself to their level. Rise above it. Keep your eyes on your mission, your focus on your peace, and your confidence in God. Let your consistency be your response. Keep walking in excellence. Keep showing kindness. Keep being faithful. Over time, God will vindicate you in ways your words never could. He'll prepare a table for you right in the presence of those who tried to pull you down. And when that happens, you won't even need to say, "I told you so." Your blessing will speak for itself. In a world that glorifies constant movement, stillness can feel unnatural. We're taught that if we're not doing something, we're falling behind. But in God's kingdom, stillness is not laziness. It's trust. It's the quiet confidence that says, "God, I don't have to rush. I don't have to force things. I know you're working even when I can't see it." Stillness is strength because it takes faith to rest when everything inside you wants to react. It's easy to panic, easy to argue, easy to move before the time is right. But it takes true power to be still and say, "I'll wait on the Lord." A stillness is not the absence of action, it's the presence of control. When you choose to be still, you're not giving up, you're giving over. You're handing your worries to God, trusting that He's handling what you can't. The enemy loves to stir you up with urgency, to make you feel like you have to fix everything right now. But peace says, I don't have to move until God says move. There's strength in not being rushed by fear or pressured by people. When your spirit is still, you make better decisions, you think clearer, and you hear God's direction more accurately. Sometimes, God will test your stillness before He gives you the breakthrough. He wants to see if you can trust Him even when nothing seems to be happening. Those waiting seasons are not wasted. They're training your faith. In stillness, you learn how to depend, how to listen, how to grow. It's in the quiet moments that God shapes your character for what's coming next. When you learn to be still in the storm loses its power over you. You stop reacting to chaos and start responding from peace. And that's when you discover a strength that doesn't come from you. It comes from the one who lives within you. Being still doesn't mean doing nothing. It means resting in knowing who's in control. While others are running, stressing, and trying to force outcomes, you stand firm with peace in your heart. You're not worried because you know God's timing is perfect. You're not anxious because you know His plan is good. The strongest people aren't always the loudest. They're the ones who can stand still and trust when everything around them is shaking. Stillness is not weakness. It's the quiet power that says, I know my Redeemer lives, and I know He's fighting for me. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning to wait on God's timing. We live in a world that celebrates instant results, quick rewards, and fast answers. But God doesn't work on human schedules. He works on divine seasons. When you trust His timing, you're saying, Lord, I believe You know what's best for me. Not just what I want, but when I'm ready for it. Sometimes, the delay is not denial, it's development. God is preparing you for what He's preparing for you. He's aligning people, shaping opportunities, and strengthening your spirit so that when the door opens, you're ready to walk through it with wisdom and humility. Trusting God's timing means releasing control. It means refusing to rush what's meant to unfold naturally. Many times we get frustrated because it feels like God is late. But He's never late. He's always on time. You may think you're ready for that promotion, that relationship, that breakthrough. But God sees what you can't. He knows the battles ahead, the lessons you still need to learn, the maturity you still need to build. And when you learn to trust His process, you stop comparing your timeline to anyone else's, because your story is unique and your timing is divine. There are seasons when God's silence feels painful, but even in the silence, He's working. While you're waiting, He's watching. While you're praying, He's planning. While you're wondering when it will happen, He's orchestrating every detail in your favor. The waiting season isn't punishment, it's protection. God is keeping you from something that's not ready or keeping something not ready for you. When you rush, you might get what you want before you're ready to handle it. And that's how blessings can become burdens. But when you trust His timing, everything falls into place perfectly. Patience is the proof of trust. When you can wait without worry, you're showing that your faith is anchored in Him, not in outcomes. That's where true peace lives. In the heart that says, even if it takes longer than I expected, I know it's still on the way. God's timing may test you, but it will never fail you. Every delay has a divine reason. Every pause has a purpose. So, instead of fighting the waiting season, learn to embrace it. Let it grow you, teach you, and prepare you. Because when the appointed time comes, it won't be delayed a single second. It will happen suddenly, beautifully, and right on time. When God is truly at the center of your life, peace becomes your natural state. It's not the kind of peace that comes from everything going right. It's the kind that stays even when everything goes wrong. This peace isn't dependent on circumstances. It's rooted in confidence. Confidence that says, God, even when I don't understand it, I know you're still in control. That's the peace that passes understanding, the kind that doesn't make sense to the world. While others panic, you remain calm. While others worry, you rest. Because peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of God walking with you through them. When your heart is filled with His presence, external chaos loses its power. The storm may rage around you, but it can't get inside you. That's why the enemy tries so hard to steal your peace. Because if he can't touch your faith, he'll try to shake your focus. He wants you anxious, restless, and distracted. But peace is your armor. Peace protects your mind from fear and your heart from doubt. It reminds you that you don't need to have all the answers. You just need to stay connected to the one who does. Every time you choose peace over panic, you declare that your trust is greater than your troubles. Peace also becomes your compass. Because peace means you haven't let the world pull you out of alignment with heaven. It means you're grounded, steady, and focused even when life tries to shake you. The world says fight harder, push faster, do more. But God says, be still and know that I am God. When you carry peace in your heart, you carry proof of His presence. And that quiet assurance becomes your strength, your shelter, and your song in the middle of every storm. There are battles in life that no one else sees. The struggles you face in silence, the tears you cry when no one's watching, the weight you carry quietly in your heart. Those are the battles God specializes in. You may not talk about it, you may not show it, but heaven sees it all. Every sleepless night, every anxious thought, every time you wanted to give up but chose to keep going, God noticed. And while you're trying to hold it together on the outside, He's already working behind the scenes on your behalf. You don't have to shout for Him to hear you. Even your silence speaks faith when your heart says, Lord, I'm still trusting you. The most powerful victories often begin in silence. While you're still waiting, still praying, still believing, God is arranging things in your favor. He's softening hearts, closing wrong doors, and opening the right ones at the perfect time. You may not see it yet, but something is shifting. That's why you can't give up during the quiet seasons. The silence is not absence, it's strategy. God fights differently than you do. You want to move, react, or explain, but God says, be still and let me handle it. He doesn't need your noise. He needs your trust. Because when you stop trying to control everything, He steps in and takes control of everything. Every battle has two sides, the visible and the invisible. You see what's happening in front of you, but God sees what's happening behind the curtain. He knows the hearts of people, the motives behind actions, and the future that's being formed by today's moments. That's why your silence is not weakness. It's faith in motion. When you let God fight for you, you're showing that you believe His strength is greater than your struggle. You're declaring, God, I don't know how you'll do it, but I know you will. And when He fights, He doesn't just win, He restores. He redeems what was lost and turns the battle that was meant to break you into the blessing that builds you. God's victories are quiet, but undeniable. He doesn't need to announce what He's doing to make it powerful. While you're waiting in silence, He's preparing a testimony that will speak louder than any argument. The same people who doubted you will see the evidence of His hand on your life. The same situations that tried to crush you will become the proof of His faithfulness. So, if you're in a silent battle right now, don't despair. Heaven is active even when earth is still. God is fighting for you, not with noise, not with chaos, but with power, precision, and perfect timing.